Al 1 de Mayo.
Hello and welcome to the Pick and Pop Podcast. I am your host, Sam Dusemay Jr. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TheSamD, that's TheEESCMD. Follow along with the show at Pick and Pop Pod on Twitter at Pick N, no N, just the letter N, Pick and Pop Pod. Subscribe and rate 5 stars, nothing less. Tell a friend. Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, Castbox, Stitcher Radio, all major podcast platforms. Search for The Pick and Pop Podcast, no and, the letter N, The Pick and Pop Podcast. Musical production done by May 1st Music. Support him at soundcloud.com/May1stmusic. So is Madonna the brother whisperer? I mean, throughout time, there's been someone from the other side that has reached out, that has shown a proclivity to put the black side on, in however way, shape, or form. You know, we've had Sinatra, looked out for Sammy Davis, looked out for Ali. Madonna is showing herself to be a brother whisperer. She has shown a proclivity to put brothers on. Do we have her to thank for Rod the Bod, for the worm? Is Madonna responsible for the second three-peat? If she doesn't holler at Rodman, tells him to be more like yourself, which in turn made him act a fool in San Antonio because he never wanted to go there in the first place, and having this bad as I want to be persona got him out of San Antonio and into Chicago. So did Madonna, who has Leon in the tuck, Big Daddy Kane in the tuck, and Tupac in the tuck, and still has Tyson and Drake in the tuck for some reason, but most notably had Rodman in the tuck. I think they did it for like 3 years. So is Madonna responsible for the Bulls' second three-peat? That's what you learned between episodes 3 and 4 of The Last Dance. This was a Rodman-heavy 2 hours. We got a lot of Rodman. We got the full Bulls-Pistons breakdown. We got some Phil in there. We got the Bulls winning their first championship. And Lenny Wilkens did a thing. And Jerry Krause continued to do things. So Rodman is an integral part of 90s basketball, right? Like, he's a guy that you can't talk 90s basketball without mentioning Dennis Rodman. He was that good. 5-time rebounding champ, I think, in the 90s alone. You know, he's as a basketball player, Rodman is a rebounding and defensive savant. Like, it's amazing what he could do in the basketball court. It's amazing. And they show, and they broke it down in the doc, how he was just so obsessive with rebounding. He found his skill set. And that's a thing, because this is a dude that dropped 27 a game in college. So he could score. Like, when I watched him, I never saw him score a lot, so I didn't think he was capable. And now, after seeing all of these 30 for 30s and all these docs on the Bad Boy Pistons, and then Rodman by himself, and now again with The Last Dance, you realize, oh, Rodman was a bucket. Like, he could actually hoop. He wasn't just a rebounding defensive wizard. He wasn't always that. He was, he dropped 27 a game, 27 and 14 in college. Now, granted, small school, but still, 27 is 27. So the fact that you go from being that to finding your niche in the league and transforming yourself to arguably the greatest rebounder outside of Wilt and maybe Moses this league has ever seen, that's amazing. So as I always do, I got to give you some numbers to kind of put things into perspective. So when it comes to the worm, when it comes to Rod the Bod, Rodman has over 20 more 20-plus rebound games than the next two highest guys combined. Okay, let me run that back. So, okay, yes, Rodman has 20 or more, 20 plus rebound games more than the next two dudes combined. Those next two dudes, Dwight Howard and Charles Barkley. Has that settled in? Okay, let's dig deeper. Let's keep going, right? Let's push the numbers a little bit. If you go to 25 plus rebound games, Rodman has 33. 33 25 plus rebound games. No other player, again, not talking Wilt, no other player has over 7. He's got 33. In fact, if you add up players 2 through 6 on that list of 25 plus rebound games, they still fall under Rodman. And again, Rodman did that over a 7-year span. He got those 33, 25 plus rebound games only in the 7-year span. And he's only 6'7", 6'8" at the most. And again, I talked about it on the last pod. This is the era of big men. This is the era of Shaq, Hakeem, Robinson, Ewing, Alonzo. This is that era. Barkley, Malone, Kemp. This is that era. And Dennis Rodman is out here out-rebounding them all. So the third episode gets you into Rodman, gets you into what he brought to the table and what it was, and then you kind of move into, back into the actual Last Dance, the actual 97-98 season, and how all the time Jordan was asked about Pippen. When is he coming back? Was he selfish for doing the surgery? He was asked about whatever Rodman was up to at the moment, whatever antics were going on. We didn't even get to him kicking the photographer yet. We didn't even get to that. I don't know if they touched that, but we didn't even get to Rodman kicking the photographer. They're asking Jordan whether or not he was going to play another season. And if he was going to play another season, would he play for a different coach other than Phil Jackson? And it was routinely asked, how come Jerry Krause is so adamant about getting Phil Jackson about the paint and breaking this up? So now you hear your boy H&H, the habitual nut hitter, your man's Draymond out here complaining, crying about how, it was so bad that the Warriors and them got asked about Kevin Durant and all Kevin had to do was just say he wasn't going anywhere or make a affirmative decision in some sort of way and no one would be asking us questions. Dog. You see what Jordan was being asked? Jordan had 5 or 6 rotating topics daily that he was being grilled upon. And you're mad that KD wouldn't say whether or not he was coming back or testing free agency? And you're mad that you had to field questions about that? Dog, relax. And here's what I hope this doc is showing. This doc, as I said on the last pod, how it's going to destroy the plumber myth. It's also going to destroy the myth that Jordan and players from this era were not under any criticism or did not face the media swell that players today is. The only thing that the players today have to deal with that those players didn't is social media. The media throngs follow Jordan just like they follow LeBron and KD. The fans had trash narratives about Jordan and Barkley and even Magic and Ewing and all those guys, just like fans today have trash narratives about Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. It's the same thing. Social media has certainly added a different level to it, a different fervor to it. News breaks faster. Opinions are posted publicly. So instead of going to the barbershop and hearing Jordan can only score, I used to hear that in the barbershop. Jordan ain't that good. I used to hear that in the barbershop. Scottie Pippen will never be anything. I heard that in the barbershop. Barbershop, the playground, the block, the neighborhood, all the same conversations were happening. It's just now they're happening on Twitter. They're happening on IG. That's the only difference. You can have receipts for your opinions now. Back then, you could lie. Oh, no, I never said that. I never said you. If I were to go back to my teenage barbershop and pull up on the barber's den like, yo, remember that shit you said Mike ain't that nice? Oh, no, I never said that. Plausible deniability. You don't have that now unless you start deleting your whole timeline. And Blue Check Boys are doing that. So MJ's out here, no Pippen, because he's rehabbing extra slow and out here basically refusing to play. Essentially refusing to play. You had Rodman, who's checked out. And Jordan's facing all these questions about Krause and Phil. Why won't he play for another coach? Why is Jerry Krause breaking this up? And he's still the best player in the world. And he's still dropping 30 a night damn near. That's pressure. But the team stunk. To keep it a buck, right? The team stunk. The team had nothing because there was a lack of scoring and they missed Scottie Pippen's all-around defensive ability. They didn't have that guy in Scottie where you could basically plug and play him literally anywhere. He could play 1 to the 4. And at times, he even guarded 5s. So, I mean, Scottie, as much as people say, LeBron was the first person they've ever seen guard all 5 positions, Scottie was doing that. But, anywho, I know, whatever you saw is whatever you saw, and that's the only thing that's ever happened in the place of the world. I get it. But the team's out here losing bad games, losing games that they should not be losing, and Worm is checked out. So Jordan has to rein him in. And you saw that Doc Rodman gets thrown out of a game and Jordan is pissed off because he's got no one. And MJ said it. He said, Rodman left me out here by myself. Now that's such a damning statement to the other dudes. That's a damning statement to the Luke Longleys, the Tony Kukoc, the Judd Bushlers, the Ron Harpers, the Jason Caffeys, the Scott Burrell. That's a damning statement. Yo, Scotty's out. Rodman gets thrown out. Damn, Dennis, you left me out here by myself. There's 10, 11, 12 other dudes ready to play ball. But Jordan knows I'm the only nice one out here. It's back to Jordan and the Jordanaires thing from the late 80s into the early 90s. It's that whole discussion being brought up again, and it's 97. But Worm apologizes, and he finds a way to recommit himself and rededicate himself, and he realized, oh, I left Mike alone. These other dudes can't run with Mike. These other dudes can't get the job done. I need to help Mike get the job done. Dennis definitely felt like the third wheel. And he had that one little window where was he got to be Robin instead of Scotty. Jordan's always Batman. But at times, Rodman probably felt like he was Alfred. But now he got a chance to upgrade and be Robin. And he seized upon that role, and you heard Phil say that he saved the season. Like, he saved them from losing way more games than even they did in the first part. So Rod came to save the day by being Robin. Then when Scotty comes back, Rodman's like, yo, I'm ready to go back to being Alfred. This goody two-shoe shit ain't for me. And he got to go to Vegas. I need a vacation, and I got to go to Vegas, and I got Carmen Electra, and we about to go and just down tequila, nonstop tequilas and kamikazes. We about to be out here. And Phil's the type of coach, and you got to see the inside of Phil and how Phil moves differently. Phil's not your normal head coach. Even as a player, he wasn't your normal player. He moved differently. I've read a couple of his books. The Last Season, which talked about his actual last season with the Lakers, and the Kobe Shaq thing, and Malone and Peyton, and yeah, how he had to massage all those egos all in the same locker room. It was a lot there. And then Sacred Hoops, which is like a memoir and tells his philosophy of coaching and basketball. If you read those 2 books, and I'm not here for the book club stuff, but I'm always here to recommend a good book when I've read one, or in this case, good books. So Sacred Hoops, though, gives you more detail about how Phil really gave it up and how he knew you cannot treat players all the same. And that's a notion that's used a lot in college where a superstar can't be treated better than, the 4th or 5th string D-line. Yeah, no. Phil's like, no, yes, he can. Let's not get crazy here. Jordan can do certain things that Judd Bushler couldn't. That's the natural order of life. You see certain people get away with things that others couldn't. That's the natural order of life. Phil Jackson looked upon that and said, Dennis needs to be Dennis. So Dennis needs to do certain things that Luke Longley, Bill Wennington, Bison Dele can't get away with. Robert Parrish, Joe Klein, they can't get away with. You think Joe Klein could go to Vegas for 48 hours and then turn that into 96? No. And Joe Klein don't have Carmen Electra in the room either. But that's a whole nother discussion. You have to you have to judge your players and judge their personalities and see what makes them tick and see what makes them don't tick. You have to be able to gauge their engagement. That's why, as much as I don't like coaching, I don't like the way coaching has been done in this industry. Whereas the coach is the dictator and the players have to be subservient. Because it should not work like that. That's the way it is in high school, college, even now with AAU. Like, that's travel teams in baseball. Like, that's kind of the way it's been now, is that the coach is the dictator and you have to follow everything he says. But we all know superstars are superstars. Superstars make the thing go. So Phil and his personality and the way that he moves and the way that he understands that not everyone is the same. Not everyone moves to the beat of the same drum. He knew, I need to keep Rodman engaged. So he played the good soldier while Scotty was out. He helped Michael. We won games. Now he needs to blow off some steam. So he needs this vacation. He needs to have these 48 hours. That turned into 96. If only more coaches understood that. Every personality trait is not the same. Just because we're all playing the same sport doesn't mean that we all think the same way. As much as there's divisions in locker rooms in terms of financial standing, political standing, racial standing, culture stand, like there's divisions there. So those divisions lead to differences in personality traits. So yes, Rodman needs to blow up steam. No, Steve Kerr can't get that same thing off. Yes, Craig Hodges got blackballed because of those same personality trait differences. That's how it goes. It's not right, but that's how it goes. So the doc does a good job of going back and forth. You're getting Rodman as a bull, and then they take it back to the bad boy Pistons and the birth of that personification, that persona that they had. Because again, Rodman wasn't that dude in college. He wasn't that mean, knock dudes down, forearm shiver across the neck, elbow to your ribs. He wasn't that in college. He learned that riding with Mahorn, Lambeer, Sally, James Edwards, all those dudes. And dog, it was thug basketball personified. Like the way I had my all thug team, thug in the good way, which is how I coined it, because that's what the bad boys were. They were thugs, but in the good way. Because they knew that they weren't as good athletically or even fundamentally outside of Isaiah and Dumars. So they increased the physicality to level the playing field. You think Bill Lambier can hang with Dominique Wilkins? Or Larry Bird? Or Barkley? Or James Worthy? No. But he can if he's constantly body slamming them. if he's getting them kicked out the game because they're fighting him back because he's been playing dirty since the beginning of the game or the series. Yeah, he can level the playing field. Yes, James Edwards might be able to stop Barkley in the paint if he's yanking on his jersey and choking him anytime he goes up to take a shot. Yes. Yes, Rodman and Sally could double team Bird and trip him and make him fall on top of him on purpose to injure him. Yes, if that's allowed, that's going to happen. James Worthy is going to catch these forearms. Yes. You saw poor Doc Rivers routinely get thrown around catching bows. And you saw that Brad Daugherty, he caught that hook. He caught that overhand hook from Lambeer. That's what they did. Number one, it was legal. Number two, the league didn't care to stop it. And three, fans loved it. That Bad Boys team is revered. Revered. Only to the teams that they fucked up are they held in a negative light. And then as the Bad Boy Pistons were coming up, it transitioned into Doug Collins getting the gig, being the head coach. And he basically just sat back and gave MG the keys. He gave Jordan the keys and said, yo, just go. Just go. I have no other words for you. Give the ball to Mike and get the fuck out the way is what he said, right? Now, a lot of that is true. But when it's not true, I don't want to diss this doc. This doc has been too good so far. But they lied in this doc. They lied in this doc because the shot, which is known as, in basketball, the shot. Jordan against the Cavs, Jordan over Elo. That play was not designed for Jordan. It was not. It was not. I know what Jordan said in the doc. I saw it just like you did. But no, that play was not designed for Jordan. Corzine was supposed to get the shot. Corzine was supposed to get the shot. If you read Sam Smith's book, which is referenced, and they get into it deeper as the doc goes on. Yeah, that play was not designed for Jordan. It was not. Sam Smith broke down the whole shit. He's got sources that tell him what the play design really was and what the options were. And basically it got crunch time. The first option didn't work. So yeah, they gave the ball to Mike. But hey, look, you spin it however you want. It's Jordan. If he says the play was designed for him to get a shot, okay, Mike. All right. But if everyone else is saying otherwise, yeah. And how about Lenny Wilkens on that? Lenny Wilkens, who's highly decorated. Didn't he have the most wins as he got at one point he was the winningest coach of all time. He beat Red Auerbach's record, I believe, back in the days. So he's a Hall of Fame coach, won chips as a player with Seattle. Like, this guy knows what it takes to win games, right? Lenny, how the hell you got Ron Harper not guarding Jordan? Jordan admitted it and Ron Harper admitted it. Like, yeah, Elo was not the matchup. That was not, Jordan was like, yeah, that was a mistake. And the depth stare that he says it with. Yeah, that was a mistake. Putting Craig Elo on me in a big spot. Yeah, that was a mistake. How does Lenny Wilkens, Hall of Fame coach that he is, not have Ron Harper on Michael Jordan with 3 seconds left? And look, man, I just have to say this, and obviously if you're listening to this podcast, you already know how I feel about it, but I just love the unedited version. I love the cursing. Absolutely love it. I let people talk in their natural element, in their natural habitat. If Jordan wants to sit there with that $1,800 tequila, sitting in that $400 glass, and say, fuck, motherfucker, all that time, I am so here for it. I am so here for it. I want it exactly that way. Ron Harper cursing it up. I want it exactly like that. Exactly how you feel it is how you should spit it. And that's why on this podcast, I've had to debate whether or not to curse or not curse because of the whole thing of, well, I want this podcast to be bigger, heard by more people. People might have children. But then I'm like, yo, I got to be me. And if you know me, then you know how dirty my language is. So if I'm going to spit it how I feel it and think it with no filter, it's going to come out dirty as hell at times. But seeing these guys, older, less fucks to give, giving it up like this, classic. Do you want a doc on the Sniff brothers? I feel like they got way more tea on Mike, man. If one of those dudes ever breaks silence and come out with a book, I'm reading it. Because I feel like they're his security team. So they've seen the fans, they've seen the reporters, they've seen other players. They might have seen the joints on the road or at the crib in the UC or the Chicago Stadium first and then the UC. They have seen it all when it comes to Mike. If one of those dudes ever breaks silence, oh, I'm here for that. Because that shit's going to be salacious. Because you heard Jordan talk. Jordan was talking about the president. He told the cameras, look, we're talking about the president. Get them cameras out of here. Because he doesn't want his opinion on file, on record. Because he always protect his image. Because again, the whole Republicans buy sneakers too, which has now come to be, if you want the real tea of him saying that, that was allegedly said in jest as a joke. And it kind of grew. The legend of that line grew and it became a thing where, oh no, he meant it. But allegedly, it was originally said in jest as a joke. Like, oh man, I can't say anything. You know, Republicans buy sneakers too. That was the context of how it was said. But it became a thing where people stamped MJ with that line. And he was thought to be less about the culture. And there have been times, and this doc will get there. Oh yeah, by the way, I've seen up to episode 8, through episode 8. You will get to see the whole notion of Jordan not being about the cause and things like that. But there's some other things that they don't have in the doc, at least through episode 8, where, depending on where you side, you could still ride with the line of, yo, Jordan not really about that life. There's been things that have been asked of him that don't seem to be that big of a deal financially, or don't seem to be able to impact his public persona a great deal, that he said no to. And then there's times where he's been around Chicago doing things on the South Side and on the West Side. There's been times where Spike Lee needed money to finish the Malcolm X movie, and Jordan had the ones for him. You can fall on either side, and that's, I think, the most polarizing thing with Jordan is that when it comes to that particular part of it, whether or not Jordan is for the cause or not for the cause, there's plausible arguments for each side. And as usual, the truth is somewhere in the middle, because he did give dough to finish off a very powerful impact movie. That movie impacted me, changed my life when I saw that movie, changed my whole way of thinking when I saw that movie. He helped get that movie finished. Spike couldn't get no more money out the studio. So Magic Johnson, Jordan, I'm not sure if it was Michael or Janet Jackson, but one of them, a lot of them put money up to help get that movie finished. And that movie was impactful and is still impactful to this day. Although maybe not all the way accurate. So, but Jordan has also said no to things that don't seem to be that big of a deal, but because of what he perceived to think people would think, he said no to minor things that would directly impact his people. Jordan is a complex figure in that way. And he gives you a little bit of his feeling behind the scenes. Like, he really goes into it. He gets emotional. That, look, all that's coming, but you start to see parts of that here, because you see him in that locker room, in that little back room with the Sniff brothers, with that crazy looking white dude with the wild ass mullet, which is like a Jerry curl mullet. It was like the Ice Cube mullet. It was like Ice Cube and Joe Dirt in one. It was a very weird looking thing. You see him in that room and he's giving it up with the Sniff brothers. Then the cameras are there and then he has to shut up. He says, hey, man, we in here talking about the president. Get them cameras out of here. We're talking about politics. We don't want that on camera. Because he's always mindful of protecting the brand. That's the first inkling you're going to get of that. And there's a lot more of that to come. So as all that is going on, Pippen decides to come back and play. He takes the L. He knows, he's trying to deny the trade rumors and all. Look, he realizes, he's not going to win. He's not going to get his bread. He's not going to have a say in whether he gets traded or not. He just needs to show up. And he didn't want to give Reinsdorf and Krause the pleasure of finding him and getting even more of that little ass contract back. Rodman goes back to being Alfred, and Scotty regains his spot as being Robin, and Rodman just starts to be aloof again. And he realizes he needs to dip out. So he gets that trip to Vegas. And there's no more synonymous place to Vegas than Dennis Rodman. Like, those two are such a match. The fact that he could play basketball all day, go out drinking, partying, whatever, and come right back the next day with little to no sleep in between and play another game and be one of the best players on the floor, that is synonymous with the 24/7 action that is Las Vegas. So it makes all the sense in the world that that's where Dennis wants to go. And it makes all the sense in the world that if you're in Vegas and you got a chick like Carmen Electra, you can get other chicks. And I'm not at liberty to say, but what Mike didn't say, the what else he found in that room, is Googleable. Google is your friend. It wasn't just Carmen Electra in that room. She wasn't the only woman in that room. Also, Dennis might not have been the only man in that room. But did you see how Dennis showed up? When Jordan dragged him back to practice, dragged him back to playing basketball. The fact that he could pull up in PJs, pajama bottoms, and house slippers, that's what I mean. That's what speaks to the greatness of Phil. That even in that moment, he can look at Dennis, realize that Dennis has been gone for 96 hours. And the only reason why he wasn't gone for more than 96 hours because the best player in the world had to go to Vegas and pull him out of a hotel room with Carmen Electra and good Lord knows what else. And the fact that they had to drive him to the airport, fly with him, and take him straight to the court. And he walked back onto the court with pajama bottoms and house slippers. He needed a chaperone. And Phil was accepting. Dennis didn't get fined. He didn't get suspended. Any other player does that then or even now. You're getting suspended. You're getting fined. You're getting roasted on Twitter. But Dennis is Dennis. He's a different dude. Let him live. And I think the fact that Dennis was able to have that connection with Phil and Phil see what Dennis is in terms of when he's here, he's going to work his ass off, whether it's on the court in playing or off the court in terms of working out, preparation, studying, learning his craft, all that type of stuff. As long as we get him here, he knows what we can do here. He knows we can win. He's going to play his ass off. And the fact that Dennis and Phil had that connection and Phil was able to connect with him. And what was the Native American name he had for him? A backward walking person. Like, that shit fits. Like, does Dennis walk forward? He's not going to go the same way that you go. He'll still get there, but he's going to get there his way. You're going to walk forward. You're going to toe the line. You're going to stay in single file. Rodman is that one that will walk backward, but still get to where you're going. He's just going to do it his way. It has to be done on his terms. And we have to thank Madonna for that. So in the midst of the Phil, Zen, Rodman relationship, they get into Phil and Tex Winter and the demise of Doug Collins. And it was clear. It was the writing was on the wall. Doug Collins wanted nothing to do with the triangle because his whole notion was Michael got me here. Michael got me to the Eastern Conference Finals just with me giving him the keys. Ain't no way I'm now going to tell Michael, no, Mike, don't drop 69. Don't average 37, 36, 35 a game. I want you to now average 27, 28, and we're going to let some other guys get some shots. How the hell can you tell that to the young stallion that was Jordan, who's out here killing the whole league, scoring on anyone at will, and now you want him to pass the ball to who? Because Scotty wasn't Scotty yet. Horace definitely wasn't Horace yet. Bill Cartwright? I mean, you heard what Jordan said when he talked about the triangle. I don't want to be in an offense where Bill Cartwright gets the ball with 5 seconds left. I don't want that shit. It's bullshit. But that's reality. You never felt good, and I'm speaking from as a former Bulls fan, you were never happy when Cartwright got the ball. You were just hoping he would pass it. You felt good if Scotty had it. You felt okay if Horace had it. But when Bill got it, it was like, yo, please get rid of it. Please. The triangle changed the game. The triangle it gave flexibility. It gave an option because basically the Bulls offense before Phil Jackson was Jordan was freestyling for 4 quarters. Freestyling, ISOing dudes up for 4 quarters. Now, if Jordan's taking a breather or on the off chance that Jordan's having a bad night, you could run this triangle and other guys can contribute to help Mike on a bad night. It gave flexibility. Jordan could still get his points off. He still led the league in scoring when they were running the triangle. So in the end, Jordan was still Jordan. And that was the thing about it. It was like, we're not diminishing you. But imagine if Jordan would have had a Doug Collins type coach his whole career. The amount of points he could have scored. He could have challenged Kareem. If he was just allowed to go nut for 13 joints, Jordan would be right there with Kareem. Because who was stopping him? It took the triangle to slow him down. I mean, the Pistons did some damage in the playoffs, but in the regular season, no one was stopping him. What, the leading scorer, 8 straight seasons or something crazy? It might even be more than that. The only year where he didn't start a full season, he led the league in points, not points per game, but total points. Every single year, while as a Bull, where he played the majority of the season. So not the second year where he got injured and not that year where he came back towards the end of the season. Every other year, he led the league in total points. And that's pre-triangle and in the triangle. Amazing, man. But yeah, that system got Doug Collins the fuck up out the paint. And that's where Phil was able to buddy up with Tex Winters. Jerry Krause put them two together. And I'm sure Krause made it known, like, yo, if you rock with my mans, then I can get Doug up out of here and maybe make you the man. I'm sure that was a conversation. And like I said, I've watched through the first 8 episodes. One slight disappointment. I don't know if we're going to get that Phil Krause thing that I was asking for in the first recap. I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't know. Hopefully it's in the last 2. But through the first 8, if you really want the tea about Phil and Krause, I don't know if you're going to get it. Whew, that migraine game. Yo. If social media was around for that migraine game, I don't know if Scotty survives. I don't know. Because he was killed at school. He was killed in the barbershops, in the playgrounds. He was killed everywhere for that migraine game. He was called soft. He's not strong enough. He can't beat Robin. If he's your Robin, then the Bulls will never win. Like, it was open season on Scotty after that migraine game. Like, dudes were openly questioning him. That was a thing. No matter all his accolades, all his defensive accolades, it didn't matter. In that moment when your team needed you in the game 7, you weren't there. Yes, you had a migraine, whatever that is. And you can see even Jordan, I don't know if Jordan fully co-signs that Pippen shouldn't have played harder through that migraine. Like, you kind of see Mike still feels a way about that whole migraine thing. But I mean, as someone that's never had it, but have known people that have had it, it's debilitating. So you just have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But you see Jordan with that tequila, that real talk. You know, they say alcohol, liquor is the true truth serum. You see Mike not really giving it up to that migraine. And you look at the aftermath of that series, all the Bulls decide to work out. Jordan decides it's finally time to start working out for strength. Can you imagine if he had been working out from the beginning of his career? So again, we're looking at LeBron, who's been a physical specimen the entirety of his career. Spends $1 million minimum on upkeep of his body. Is chiseled, has been working out, lifting, all that type of stuff forever. Can you imagine Jordan with the 91, 92 physique in the 80s? He's dropping 63 and not working out. He's dropping 69 and not working out. Good God. And you see the working out didn't affect the dunks. He was still yamming on dudes. It didn't affect the hang time. And the hang time is the main thing where routinely in these highlights, you see Jordan go up and he had a true jump shot where he jumped high in the air. That's what jump shots are. You see now where some guys barely get off the ground, or some guys, they have their legs are so spread out paused that they don't get a lot of lift on the jumper. No, Jordan sprung up in the air and then shot it. And he always had that extra couple of milliseconds of hang time to get the shot off. And it helped him, obviously, when he was younger and getting dunks off. But even as he got older, was shooting the fadeaways or the jumpers, like that extra hang meant a lot. And even with this added muscle to handle the beating that he was getting, the ass whooping that he was getting by the Pistons, it didn't affect anything. And then there's the walk-off. Oh, the walk-off. I've been waiting for the walk-off. The walk-off is a moment, and I didn't realize it was a big deal in real time. Like, it seemed shocking. It seemed weird. But I didn't think, 20 plus years later, we'd still see dudes going in about it. And yeah, it was a thing. It really was a thing. And the reason why this doc is so great, and it's probably partly due to that $1,800 tequila and the $400 glass, is that Jordan is giving zero fucks. about certain people. Certain people. Because I don't know if we're getting Juanita either. I don't know if we're going to get the Phil Krause thing, and I don't know if we're getting Juanita. But when it comes down to Isaiah, when it comes down to Zeke, oh, it's open season on Zeke. It's fucking, oh, man. Why? Jordan just, it's so bad. Because Isaiah is great. Zeke is phenomenal. Oh, Jordan could have tap danced. He could have tap danced when it came to the walkout. But no, he gave no fucks and he let loose. He let loose on Zeke, man. And again, it's another thing where Isaiah wasn't wrong in regards to, yes, the Celtics did do that to them when they finally beat them. But MJ also wasn't wrong saying that they showed the Pistons respect after getting all those ass whoopings prior. So who do you ride with? Jordan saying, yeah, basically, fuck past history with the Celtics and how they treated you. We've shown you respect when y'all whooped our ass. And Isaiah is saying, nah, this is the rite of passage. When we were getting all those ass whoopings from the Celtics, yeah, we showed them respect. But when we finally beat them, they bounced on us. So we gave y'all all them ass whoopings and y'all showed us respect. But when y'all finally beat us, we bounced too. Both are accurate. Both are right. But petty ass Jordan was the better player, and that was the beginning of the end of Isaiah getting on that goddamn dream team. That's exactly why you had goddamn Christian Laettner, fucking Clyde ass Drexler. Yeah, Zeke tricked off his spot in Barcelona in that moment. The disdain just for mentioning Zeke. Like you saw how Mike was looking when they showed him the footage of Isaiah talking. Oh, I know it's all bullshit. It's no way you can convince me he wasn't an asshole. That's that $1,800 tequila talking, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And no spoiler, Clyde, you next. No spoiler though. And we finally get Magic versus Jordan. You know, that's a series that has meant a lot to me because that's when I was really starting to lock in. You know, I was 9, 10 years old. I was starting to lock in on basketball. I was starting to remember stuff, and I was the knowledge was building around this time. And I remember that series. And yes, was Magic Johnson peak Magic in that series? No. But he was still the best point guard in the game. He was still top 5 in the league, in the world during that series. Did James Worthy get hurt? Their second best player in that series. Yes, that did happen. But again, you got a top 5 player. Jordan's a top 5 player, if not the best player. Scottie Pippen at that point was probably top 10. Like, yeah, it still should be a competitive series. But it wasn't. But it wasn't. They got that first game, and that was it. They got that first game, and if you heard me on ESPN 1420 AM with my boy Greg Larnard, I talked about that series last week because I knew it was coming. I said they got to talk about that first chip, and that first chip changed when they put Scottie on Magic, and you saw it. You saw it in the doc. I didn't need the doc to show me it, but I'm glad y'all got to see it. Scottie was a monster. He didn't worry about scoring. Phil Jackson just basically sicked Scottie Pippen on Magic Johnson. Like, get him, boy, get him. As he hounded him. Full court pressure. Who does full court pressure to Magic Johnson? Who does? Celtics couldn't do that. Not even Magic's heyday in the 80s. The Celtics couldn't do that. The Sixers couldn't do that. None of them could do that. None of them could pick up Magic full court. And especially picking them up full court with a guy that's faster than him, with a longer wingspan than him, and that just has the acumen and the size to not get bully balled by him. That's why guys like Rodman size and Scotty size were problems for Magic, because Magic is towering over all point guards. So you can't guard Magic with a point guard because Magic's 6'9". So you have to put a wing on him. But in the 80s, they still had the traditional form of your point guard is 6 feet to 6'3". Your small forwards is 6'8" to 6'9". They're not that fast. They don't handle the ball as much. They're your scorers. They're your Larry Birds. They're your Dominiques. They're your Bernard Kings. None of those guys could D up Magic. But now as we're getting into the late 80s, we had these versatile guys. You know, Scotty, as he said in the doc, he grew up as a point guard because he didn't get that growth spurt till late. So all his skills were ball handling. He knows how to handle the ball and play defense against point guards. Then he gets the growth spurt. Now he's moved. So now he's a guy that's a point guard by skill, but a forward by size. And they sicked him on Magic, and he locked that ass up. Murder, she wrote. And then because of the triangle and because of the opportunities, other guys were able to contribute. And in that last game, they highlighted John Paxson because, again, Paxson saved them in the fourth quarter. And Jordan kept penetrating and dishing. I think he led the team in assists. I think it's the only time he ever led the team in assists in the series, Michael Jordan, is that one series. And because he had John Paxson. Paxson kept knocking down the shots. Great series. And it was the beginning. Like, you could see it. It was fully Magic passed the baton. It was the from Bird to Magic to now Jordan. The transition was complete. Poor Scotty Burrell. Poor Scott Burrell just catching strays left and right. Scott Burrell, you know, that was Jordan's whipping boy. You could tell. He was just that dude that always was there to catch hell, catch wreck. Was an easy guy to get on. You know, as much as they like to pick on Jerry Krause because he was an easy guy to get on because he was short and fat, Scott Burrell's demeanor allowed him to just always be that guy because he was just a super nice guy. And when you're uberly nice, people who are assholes, which Jordan, I think, admittedly is, are always going to get on you because you're just a nice guy. You're not going to push back. And that may be a thing going forward in the doc. But look, these 2 episodes were great. I think the first 2 episodes were setting the foundation. You know, for those who didn't know Jordan, and for those who may have forgotten Jordan, to remind them of who Jordan was and what Jordan was in terms of the magnitude. But I'm telling you, there's so much more coming. There is so much more coming. But this episode was great. These 2 episodes were great because you got the Rodman stuff, all the Bulls Pistons stuff. Then you got the Phil stuff. There's more Phil stuff to come. But you got your intro into Phil and his backstory. You got the first chip. You know what I'm saying? And then towards the end, they show you how even in 97, 98, Jerry Krause just can't get the fuck out the way. He just can't get out the way. Just move out the way, dog. Even if you want to break it up quietly. Why are you so outlandishly loud with announcing that you're going to break this dynasty up? What is his problem? He just couldn't get out of his damn way. However you feel about Krause, and you know how I am. I just fuck Jerry Krause. I don't care if you built it. Yeah, I'll give you your props for putting the roster together. But I'm still fuck Jerry Krause because of the way that you moved in breaking this shit up. We could look past all your insecurities if you would have landed the ending. But he didn't land at the ending. He just fucking fell over himself in the ending. Jerry Krause. 97, 98, the Bulls are rolling, heading into the All-Star break, and here you go bringing up the Phil Jackson shit again. You know, organizations, media, coaches, they chastise players for speaking out of turn or putting business things into the media, making it public, and here's the goddamn GM of the world champion, the 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time world champions, telling how he's going to break the whole shit down and is daring the best player in the world, possibly the greatest player ever, daring him to make a move. Giving him an ultimatum. Yeah, Fuck Jerry Krause. You know what it is. Thank y'all as always for listening. Check out thesamd.com. That's where you can find everything. That's where you can find the Pick Up Pop podcast. That's where you can find trash narratives. And also I'm putting up some more content on the YouTube channel, not just actual trash narratives. So just look for the YouTube channel, The Sam D. I'm going to do a watch. We're going to watch one of Rodman's games, a game that I didn't see highlighted in this documentary, but I think is a real clear moment of showing the greatness of Rodman, the basketball player, as well as Rodman, the celebrity, and how far he took it. So look for that this week on the Sam D YouTube channel. And as always, man, I'll be here for episodes 5 and 6 because I got them already. I'll holler.